Should we have Scott? Scott, okay. Scott, would you like to do the introduction like you did last week?
Sure will. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our second webinar to learn in this next hour about long-term care planning and asset protection. Actually, as all of us journey through the aging process, all of us are at different stages, and like myself, you may be a caregiver with a parent and traveling through this journey right as we speak. I'm Scott Saffert. I am from the Glen Hopkins Senior Living Community. I have been working in long-term care since 1982 and oftentimes have talked with families as well as residents about long-term care planning and all the different kinds of facets and individual pieces that go to it for each one of your circumstances and family situations. So I always encourage at the end of the webinar, there will be information that you can connect with Margaret and Safe Harbor and take advantage of that to ask those specific questions about your specific situation. Here at the Glen Hopkins, we are a senior living community, and we're located on 14 acres of beautiful green space with walking paths and gardens, as well as a willow pond in our backyard. We've been providing senior living options for seniors 62 and better for the past 32 years in this Southwest metro area. We offer independent living plus, where you can add on some home care support services, as well as household support services, assisted living services, as well as specialized memory care here on our campus. We recently had our COVID-19 vaccination clinic, and coming up on February 10th, we will have our second clinic. Like many of you, over the last 12 months, we have navigated through the pandemic and stayed united as a senior living community, providing our residents and staff with safety, as well as social and spiritual support to stay physically as well as mentally healthy. We do offer at our community here on-site scheduled tours, as well as virtual options then too, Monday through Saturday. You are always welcome to visit us at our website at glenhopkins.com, and also check out our Facebook page to see what we've been up to recently. Again, thank you for being here and getting some of your questions answered, or just getting started and kind of taking the next steps and understanding how to plan for long-term care planning, as well as protecting your assets. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Margaret Barrett, our presenter today, and we will get the good stuff started. Thanks.
Thank you for that really kind and good introduction, Scott. I can't get this off my screen. I'm sorry, just a second here. My mouse isn't working. Okay, I don't know why, but I have a little something on my screen. I will do my best to avoid it. Welcome to our webinar. It's called How to Avoid Losing Your Life Savings to the Nursing Home. This is a good start in learning about your options, about different ways to pay for long-term care and how it pays to plan ahead. So what we say is we hope for the best and plan for the worst, and that way you can have peace of mind in the process, and that is our goal. So as you know, and COVID is kind of a reminder of this, kind of a big reminder of this, we're really not as in control as we like to think we are. And there are kind of rough seas that come up in life. But we can have smoother sailing through the rough seas if we're prepared, and if we plan ahead, and if we're educate ourselves. So I applaud you for being here today and educating yourselves further, because this is a little bit complicated, and it's good to take it step by step. And so this is a really wonderful first step, and I'm glad you're here. So the biggest financial crisis you would likely face in retirement is definitely paying for long-term care. It can easily cost $120,000 a year, and even up from there. We have plenty of clients in that ballpark. you could lose your life savings in the blink of an eye, really, in a couple of years, or depending obviously on what your assets are, but it can go quickly. And of course, you want to enjoy some of your money. So it doesn't have to be that all your life savings is lost to the nursing home if you plan ahead. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the smooth sailing plan for asset protection. That's what we call it here, asset protection. You're also protecting yourself and making sure you get good care and that you and your family have peace of mind and not a lot of hassle. But we call it asset protection because you are really protecting assets as well as protecting yourself and your loved ones. So, of course, I can't cover the whole system today, and I obviously can't address individual situations in this group. And so we're going to give you resources to follow through on afterward. And that will be really good for you and in an individual way to educate you personally and empower you on what's best in your particular situation. So probably you'll need the follow-up steps to do that, but this is a good step in that direction. And we will also send you free resource after the webinar as well. And we'll offer the free strategy session one-on-one to work with you on what you need. This is most of our team right now at Safe Harbor State Law, and we help families protect what is most important to them. And that includes your loved ones, you getting good care, and your hard-earned money. So that's what we want to do, again, is educate and empower you to decide how to best do that so that you are well taken care of in your old age and your assets are spent the way you want them to be spent. So why is it important? Why am I so glad you're here today? I want to tell you a story about a client I had last year, sweet lady. She was in her early 60s, I think, and she wasn't really healthy, but then she fell and got injured, and so she was actually in a nursing home, hoping to get back to her apartment, but she's still in the nursing home, actually. It's been a year. So she needed to go on medical assistance, and she hired us, a few months before she went on. The problem is that she had sold a house her and her sisters had inherited a couple years before they ever talked to an elder law attorney because they didn't know. They didn't know that Medicaid has a 5-year look back. That means you have to follow the Medicaid rules for 5 years before you ever apply. And the rules are not intuitive. Your average person does not know the rules. I do not blame people for not following rules they don't even know about. But nevertheless, you got to follow the rules or you're going to get a penalty and you won't pay. This is what happened to her. And we presented her case the best we could. And they said, yes, she's on medical assistance, but because they didn't follow the rules in selling that house right, there's a $90,000 penalty. So that means she has to pay $90,000 before Medicaid pays a dime. And of course, she's down to $3,000. That's how much money you have when you qualify to apply for medical assistance. So how's she going to pay that? Is her really loving and devoted brother-in-law called me and said, am I supposed to liquidate my retirement? I mean, when am I going to be able to retire? And what happened is I did a few $1,000s of work for her for free after that to try to, we tried really hard lobbying with the county and doing everything we could. And then I found a legal aid attorney to take it who was really experienced in appeals. I wanted her to have a really good experienced Medicaid appeal attorney because ours usually wins, so we don't get that kind of experience. So I just found out in December, the denial came in January. I just found out in December that we won on appeal, which I'm super thrilled about. And we heard that the county is saying we should have listened to Safe Harbor State Law. They were right about this, et cetera. So we're very happy. But all year, her family's been paying for care. We did not know how this would come out. It might have had to been appealed to district court. I mean, it could have gone on a lot longer, and the result could have been bad because, like I said, we couldn't fix what happened before they came to us. I really don't want you or your loved ones to have this kind of a situation. It is beyond stressful. And so if they would have come to us and done this asset protection planning before they sold the house, we would have avoided the whole thing. It could have been easily avoided. So that's why, again, I created this referral system to avoid this kind of thing. And that's why I like to do these talks to get the word out to people and other attorneys and senior workers that, hey, the time to plan for medical assistance is like ideally even more than 5 years before you need it. Plan ahead, it really pays off. So if Emily had worked with us, the woman with the $90,000 problem that has now gone away, to create the smooth sailing plan before the house sale, they would have avoided the whole penalty and all that stress. So this is a little bit about me. I have, of course, I'm an attorney. I have focused on estate and elder law, but I think what might be more important to you is that I've lived this stuff. My dad died of dementia in January 2019. My siblings and I worked together to support him and my mom through that whole process. And then now my mom, she's in independent living, but she might go on Medicaid someday. And so anyway, we understand what it's like besides helping all the clients. And I'm motivated to help the seniors and their children, adult children, through the process. I really want to help my clients sleep better at night. We love it when we hear that. Just if you know you've done everything you can to protect yourself and your loved ones, regardless of what the future brings, I mean, that is peace of mind, and that is really our goal. So I had to put in a picture of my mom and dad. That's my dad, Irv, on the right. His birthday is tomorrow. He would have been, oh my gosh, 90 or 91. And that's my mom, Barrett, who is more isolated than we would like nowadays, but she's still doing well. And so that's how I got into this. I started going to learn about elder law just for my parents on the side. And then I decided this is what I really want to do for a living. So I'm hoping that you understand the value. Oh, this is my credentials. Okay, sorry. You could read those, and we're going to send a handout of all the slides, right? So, you know, you can read these, but I'm involved in the legal community. I have good ratings. I write the Medicare chapter of the Minnesota CLE book, and I frequently present on these issues. If you know somebody or a group that would be interested, please let us know, because I do think it's important to educate the public and to avoid problems for them. So I'm gonna be talking a little bit more, and while I'm doing it, please put in the chat what you think is cost of care for long-term care. What are you thinking? Kind of a worst-case scenario you might have to pay for long-term care. Could be in a nursing home, it could be at home. Okay, this is a client that we've helped with planning for Medicaid, asset protection, and they had a loved one with dementia. And if anybody's in that situation, you know there's just layer upon layer. But also other health issues, layer upon layer of issues in every regard. And so we understand that, and we're trying to connect you with other professionals while we take the load off you for the estate and elder law part of it. So I was really happy because she felt like we treated her mom with compassion, dignity, and respect, of course. So clients call us with this kind of question. And so listen to see if these are any of your questions today. What if I need long-term care? What if I need to move to assisted living or a nursing home? What if I'm disabled for a long time? What if I suddenly get ill? What if I have a stroke? Or what if I get a diagnosis next week? What will happen to me? What will happen to my loved ones? What will happen to my assets? How on earth am I going to pay for the care? Am I going to get good care? What happens if I run out of money? Is there going to be enough money for my spouse or my loved ones? Am I going to be able to pass anything on to my kids, or maybe I have a special needs child I want to provide for? Is there more that I should be doing right now, or I'll regret it later? So if you have any of those questions and you want to avoid chicken little planning, you're in the right place. And because if the sky does fall and you plan ahead, it's going to be better than if you don't. And that's what we're going to discuss today. So today I'm going to get you started on how to avoid spending your whole life savings on the nursing home and still get the care you need. At the end, we're going to offer that one-on-one strategy session where we can really get to know more about your situation. It's confidential and it's complimentary. And we can educate you and empower you to decide what's right for you. You know, we'll be honest about if we could help you and how, and then you can decide what's right for you and if it's the right timing. So here's a roadmap. In the next 30 minutes, I'll talk about how to avoid spending your life savings on the nursing home, or could be at home care too, can be just as expensive. and give you some practical action steps that you can get started on without charge. And second, I'll answer your questions. And third, if you want to take what you learned today and move forward, you can sign up for a strategy session with Dawn Thompson, who will come on at the end. And then I have a closing story. So again, I'm excited because if you take the next step today, you're going to be ahead of the vast majority of Americans because you're starting to learn about this and take action to protect yourselves and your loved ones and avoid a lot of expense and hassle in the long run. So back to my question. Now I can't see the chat, but how much do you think long-term care costs? I can't, my mouse is not working at all. It's really goofy. There it is. $10K a month from Randy, $10K from Jennifer, and a question I don't have time to read right now. So thank you for playing along, Randy and Jennifer. Yes, and I think I said at the beginning, it's $120,000 a year, which is $10,000 a month. So it was kind of a clue. But yes, we have had some clients $12,000, $14,000 a month, but right now 10 is kind of not unusual for a nursing home, honestly. So in a nursing home, they're saying, like $5,000 to $6,000 a month, that low up to $10,000. Assisted living, usually about $3,500, maybe up to $8,000, depending on the services you get. A residential care home, $2,000 to $5,000. That can even go higher, actually. That can go quite high. They're nice homes. And at home, you can pay $18 to $22 an hour. Depends on how much care you need. You can actually spend more at home than you do in a facility, although there are times when staying home saves money. So it really depends on the situation, but people have spent up to $200,000 a year on home care. So project that for, let's say, 10 years. That's the average length of time a memory care patient needs care. Now, obviously, it's going to increase over time. It's not going to be $10,000 a month the whole 10 years, but that's a long time. Or even 2.5 years. That's the average time of stay in a nursing home. So how are you going to pay for that? And if you're married, times it by 2 in case you both need care. So that's the problem. How are we going to pay for this? Something we all should think about. I think about it. So the first option is private pay. You just pay with your money, your hard-earned money. And there's definitely benefits to this because you have more options. And you can go wherever you want. The downside is it's expensive. So that's it. So what happens if you run out of money? I want to tell you about Grandpa Miller, my friend Aaron. He's an attorney in Texas, actually. And his grandparents lived in Colorado. And they started to notice some funny things with Grandma. They lived on a farm. And one day her shoes were in the freezer. Okay, that was a sign. And then another day they couldn't find the keys, and they finally found them in a in a switch in the wall. I don't know how they found them, but it must have been something where the switch you could pull it off easily or something. But that's where it was hidden. So obviously Grandma was getting dementia, and so things started to get worse. And Grandpa kept working super hard on the farm. There's no retirement, on the farm. And finally had to put her in a nursing home, and he paid for that. And then after she died, he took on renters, and he stayed as long as he could. And then he needed care, so he went in a nursing home. The whole time he didn't know about medical assistance. He didn't know about Medicaid. He didn't know that the government can pay for care. So he spent all his money, and then he moved to Texas with his son, and his son took money out of his retirement account and paid for him. Okay, so that they did all private pay, even went down to the next generation private pay. They didn't know about options. So let's talk about other options, because just by being here, I know you're better off than Grandpa Miller. Long-term care insurance. Sorry, I forgot who brought it up. But it is helpful. And I have clients tend to think if they have it, they think they're all set. That's not true. It's helpful, but you still need to plan for how to pay. And there's some who don't have it and they despair, but it's not the be all and end all either. So don't despair. If you're a person who might still make sense to get long-term care insurance, We don't sell long-term care insurance. We can refer you to people who do. It's really going to depend on your age, on your family medical history. I personally have long-term care insurance. I got it for my dad who was diagnosed with dementia, because it would have been very expensive or impossible to get after that. But there's a newer product out where it's life insurance tied with long-term care insurance. So the old kind of long-term care insurance, if I need long-term care, it will pay according to the terms. If I never need long-term care insurance, if they don't pay out, I get nothing for a lot of money that I pay for it. So the beauty of the new product is it's like life insurance. So either it pays out to you in long-term care insurance. If you don't need long-term care insurance, there's still going to be an amount of money that gets paid out in life insurance in your policy. So I recommend you look into this if you are interested. So it's helpful, but we're still going to move forward because sometimes there's problems getting things covered. There's limits on coverage. My clients are surprised sometimes that things they thought were covered, sometimes in-home care isn't covered. Really depends on the policy. And of course, there's limits and money does run out eventually. So they can be really helpful. I recommend you look into it, but we still need to keep going. So let us know if you want referrals to long-term care insurance providers. So the next thing, if you're out of money, your long-term care insurance isn't covering everything, or it ran out, or you don't have it, and you're running out of money, you worry about running out of money, then the government does help out. Now, I want to write in the chat if you have an idea of who are the main government payers of long-term care. Yes, Scott is saying long-term care is higher for someone in their 50s versus someone later. That's very true. And then when you get old enough, it's not even worth buying. That's why I bought mine in my really early 50s, I think. So, okay. Veterans, okay. Well, so Randy, you see veteran is listed number 3 there, and veterans benefits do cover long-term care. However, it is a much smaller payer of long-term care than Medicaid. First of all, because there's just not that many vets. And a lot of veterans end up going on Medicaid. One of the reasons is that VA can be great, and the terms of VA benefits are not as strict as Medicaid. But if, for instance, if you want to go in a VA nursing home, for men, I think there's currently about a 2-year wait, and for women, there's a 1 year. So a lot of times we have clients, they go on Medicaid while they're waiting to get in the VA, and then they end up staying on it. So VA is definitely one of the payers, but if you look at sheer numbers, they're not the biggest. Medicare is what a lot of people think is the main payer, but they are not. Medicare only pays for, I think it's 90 days, and then they're done. It's Medicaid, which in Minnesota is called medical assistance. And we cover Wisconsin too, and there it's called Badger Care. So Medicaid is the federal program that's administered by each state. And so in Minnesota, it's administered by the county. And this is the primary payer of long-term care by the government in the country. So this is what you're counting on for the most part, if you run out of money, or if you're able to protect your money, some of your money, and follow the rules and get on. If you want help from the government. So let's see. The VA benefits too, I wanted to say there's aid and attendance. We have a number of clients on these, and it's really ideal for wartime veterans and their spouses. So if you're in that category, then that is something we would look at as part of your plan. So now I'm going to focus on medical assistance going forward. Very good, Nancy knew that it was MA, and she even knew to call it MA. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. I don't know what you get, but you can come back next week and watch again. So now we're going to focus on Medicaid. Now within Medicaid, or in Minnesota called medical assistance, MA, there's 2 versions. This is for people over 65. Okay, there's other programs for people with disabilities under 65, and we work with those, but we're not talking about those today. So with medical assistance over 65, long-term care, you need help. Either you're going to get paid by the long-term care part, that's the traditional nursing home kind, or elderly waiver. It's also called EW. Let me know if you've heard about EW. so much easier if you can raise your hands, but I can't see you, unfortunately. So elderly waiver is what pays when you're in either assisted living or independent living or in your home. So you're not in a nursing home. Either in a nursing home or you're not. There's some differences between these two programs, but the basic requirements are the same. So I'm going to talk about them the same going forward. You don't have to worry too much about the difference. Okay, the requirements for medical assistance are you have to have a medical need for care, and there's a min choices assessment they do for that you have to have done. Secondly, that's for EW, you have to have that. And they do a test on activities of daily living, how much help you need with them and what level you're at. And I know if you moved in a facility, they did a test, and everybody says, well, I already had that test. Like, that's a different test. Different person will come out, and actually now they're doing them over Zoom, usually. So, and it's good to have a family member there. We coach people on how to do those. So, the second thing is you have to have an income test, which means your income can't be too high. We almost never have that problem, okay? The third one is the asset test. This is the big thing we help people plan for. So as a single person, you can only have $3,000. As a married couple, if you're both on medical assistance, you can only have $6,000. Plus, if your spouse is not on medical assistance, then you can have, I think the new number is 130,000, okay, of assets. In addition, you can have a house if one of you is still living in it. You can have a car if the person on medical assistance is being driven occasionally, and the spouse could have a car if they're married. You can have a funeral policy that meets medical assistance rules. I mean, there's a few other things. Those are the basics. So if you're pre-planning, if you have more money than that, you know, you can plan for how to spend your money to protect some of it. That's what we're talking about today. If it's a crisis and like you already have less money than we're talking about, we can help you get on medical assistance and follow the rules properly and deal with any problems. But if you have more money than needed, that the biggest planning opportunities exist for you. And really the most flexibility and the most options for you as far as where you live and where you get care. So it is beneficial to plan ahead when you have more money. So again, as I mentioned, there's a 5-year look back for medical assistance that you need to follow the rules for 5 years. If you have more than 5 years, then you can do some things that are not allowed under the rules. So that's pretty sweet too. So if you think you're 10 years away from paying for long-term care, it would probably be a good time to plan, actually, because you'd have more options. So medical assistance, let me tell you a little bit about how fun it is to work with medical assistance. There's a lot of attorneys who don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, but I do because it really helps people. So the rules are complex. They are inconsistently applied from county to county, and even workers in the same county, even from time to time, apply them inconsistently. And we can often point them to, no, this is what the rule says, here it is, and we get them back on track. Not always, sometimes it takes a little more work, but, and there's some gray areas, and so the counties are deciding how they're implemented. So it is quite complex, following the rules. They are not intuitive, and asset protection strategies are really important and effective. So I say it's not a do-it-yourself for applying for medical assistance. I know people who have done it and got on fine, but I've also known people who have really hurt themselves by putting in, or they put in an application too soon, or the facility put in an application too soon, and it really caused problems down the road because they weren't eligible and they gave a bunch of information that made the county suspicious, even though they were honest people. So I just don't think it's really a do-it-yourself job. I don't recommend it. So that's why it's good to plan ahead. The time to plan is now. And then we next have another little blurb from a client. This guy, he's really a sweetheart. He's been living in a nursing home for a few years now, excuse me, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. He said he protected $250,000 for himself and his son by doing this. About half of his money, he had $500,000. He had a stroke. I think this is the one. No, this is the next one. Sorry, I mixed them up. Okay, so this is a different. I remember who this is now. So they felt like we really helped, and he also protected the same amount, about $250,000, and so that was him. Now this next one, this African American gentleman, black, he had a stroke. He was about 60, still working, and all of a sudden he was not able to work. When I met him, he could still communicate. His brain is sharp, but physically he was really disabled, and he'll be in a nursing home the rest of his life. And it's been a few years. And he was thrilled that he was able, his one son, he was able to gift him $250,000, and then we bought an annuity for about $250,000. This is a Medicaid compliant annuity I'm going to be telling you more about. And he got on medical assistance, and he's been on for a few years. It's really a delightful family to work with. I'll never forget it because his son was a firefighter, big, strong guy. And they were in my office, and he just was crying because his dad, apparently he was a big, strong gentleman, and now he was really disabled. And so it was really moving and important that we'd be able to help him. And they're doing good. He's in a great place and doing well. He has that money. And of course, his son, with the $250,000, his son would help his dad if needed. And that's really the idea. So that went really well. So I'm going to show you a couple of pie charts here. I want to explain to you the difference between having a plan to protect your assets and not having a plan. So let's say, I need to get the chat up right here. Okay. Let's say you have $600,000 and you don't plan ahead, and you just do what is expected, and you pay all your money to a care provider. It could be a nursing home. It could be somebody in your home who comes in. So you pay $597,000 to the care provider, nursing home, and then you keep $3,000, and then you go on medical assistance. That's it. And that you save the state $597,000. But without planning ahead, now you might not qualify for medical assistance because you might have broke the rules in there. Kind of like what happened to my client who got the $90,000 penalty, but then we got it erased. But there's that risk. There's always that risk. So you wouldn't have saved money, and you aren't really sure you'll get on medical assistance. So that's Plan A. It's not a recommended plan, but it's Plan A. And then Plan B would be on the next page. And this would be something that one of our clients might have done. So let's say a single person comes to us with, again, $600,000. Now this person is really going to pay to the care provider. I don't think it's coming out on here really that well, but anyway, paying to the care provider $290,000. It's the annuity amount that is going to go to pay for care. So instead of $597, that's $290. And so who picks up the difference? The state. The state is going to pay sooner rather than later. And they're going to spend the money on a few different things. All that annuity money on the left goes for care, but the other things, for instance, prepay a funeral, pay some attorney's fees, pay the family for doing work. There's complicated rules to follow if you want to pay your family for doing work. But lots of our clients do it, and we help them get it right. So there's a few other different things you can do. But the big game changer here, if you notice, is they made a $250,000 gift to some trusted loved ones, about a Medicaid compliant annuity, and then went on medical assistance. So you can see that they were able to save $250,000 and still get on medical assistance. Now here's Pauline. She is 82 years old. This is just an example, of course, with dementia, paying $8,300 a month for a nursing home, and she wants to give some money to her grandchildren so it's not lost paying for care. And she wants to, of course, do it legally. That's what we're all about. We're not going to do anything risky here. So she contacts an elder law attorney. A lot of people don't even know elder law attorneys exist or what they do. So she's doing good already. So the goal is to get Medicaid eligibility for her as soon as possible, preserve her assets, create a wealth transfer plan to the next generation. I would add to ensure she keeps getting good care. You know, we want to make sure she's going to get good care. That's part of it. So the action plan, the way we go about this is we determine a spend down amount. Like we'll make a plan for that pie, work with the family and the client and decide, okay, is the funeral paid for? No, let's do that. You know, there's different considerations in each situation. We decide we're going to use this strategy. We're not going to do that one. Okay, now we're done with all the strategies. We're going to make a gift of this much, and we're going to buy an annuity for that much. So we'll go on medical assistance. So we determine the spend down amount. Then we implement the annuity plan. So now they're down to $3,000 because that annuity that had $290,000 in it, medical assistance doesn't count it. It's like zero. It doesn't count. So they are down to $3,000, and then we apply for Medicaid. And the Medicaid application will say, did you make any gifts in the last 5 years? Because that's one of the rules. And we say, yes, we did. We gave $250,000 last week to the son. And then they'll say, okay, we're going to impose a penalty period. But this time, we're not upset about the penalty period. We were expecting the penalty period. And they'll say, for instance, for the next 10 months, you have to pay for your own care. And we say, that's just fine. We already bought an annuity to pay for it. It's set. Now, the gift of money to the kids, some of it may need to go to pay for if cost of care goes up. Or maybe you want to move them to a new facility and it's going to cost more money. Things that benefit the parent, yes, you can do that. And you want to have trusted loved ones holding the money for you. And then when you pass away, they can keep it. That's kind of the idea. So after the spend out, we implemented this plan. We bought the gift, made the gift, bought the annuity, got her on medical assistance. She's eligible. She's down to $3,000. Her copay will be $1,750. See, in her case, it goes by how much income you have and what your expenses are. Then you do have to pitch in some money. You get to keep $104, I think, or $105 this year. And the rest, you got to pay your part, and then the state will pay the rest. And then she, in her case, Pauline gave her children $75,000. So it doesn't have to be big, $500,000. It can be a smaller amount. We've definitely done this with smaller amounts. So she protected over half her savings. And if she decided not to proceed with the plan, she would have exhausted her whole savings in 16 months. So the option is you can pay all your money to the nursing home, or you can do one of these plans where you can protect some money for you and your loved ones and still qualify. I know this is a little bit a lot, but hopefully I just want you to remember these things, okay? Medicaid compliant annuities are a new game changer. Since these are new in Minnesota, it really changes everything because you can protect half your assets or more, especially if you're married, you can even protect more than that. And so you can still get good care. The sooner you plan, the better. It does cost some money because there's some complicated lawyering involved, but we do the complications for you. We walk you through that whole penalty period, make sure Medicaid starts paying when they're going to start paying. We've been answering lots of questions that come up because of COVID. We're here for you. We're walking you through, and then it's just smooth sailing after that. I mean, not everything in life is smooth sailing, but as smooth sailing as it can be. I'm not saying it is hard having a loved one in long-term care, but as far as the Medicaid process, it can be really smooth. And so to learn more about it in your case, because I know it's kind of a lot of details for this talk, I recommend that strategy session, and we'll tell you more about it at the end. Because we know it takes a little time to understand how this might work for you. If you're married, I just want to say there's another kind of annuity, but I'm not going to go into it today because it's too complicated. But we can help figure out what is the best kind of annuity for you. Okay, I just want to tell you something that often comes up as a question: estate recovery. It's not intuitive what that means, but it means the state comes after your money after you die. So do not be surprised. For instance, if you have a house, and then when you die, or let's say your spouse was on medical assistance, they put a lien on the house and they want to get their money back. when your loved one who's on medical assistance dies, you get this not so nice note that says, you get it within a couple weeks. I'm really sorry your loved one died. Don't be spending any money or giving it away because we have a lien, and please return this form in the next 30 days, which is not enough time really. We help people with that process a lot because it's the same situation where it can be complicated. They don't always follow the rules right. It can be difficult. So when we're doing a plan with you ahead of time, we are planning for state recovery, and we're just letting you know about it. We don't want any of our clients to be shocked about that. Again, it's not a do-it-yourself project like the painting is. Painting isn't, well, I've done a lot of painting, but I'm not that good at it, so I don't know if it's a do-it-yourself project for me either. Again, we have seen more problems. Sometimes it can go okay, do it yourself, but a lot of times it can't, and I definitely would not recommend doing that Medicaid compliant annuity yourself. If it went wrong, you would be really up a creek. It'd be really a problem. So, but the good news is the money you save way more than you spend, and the money you spent, it would have gone to the nursing home anyway. You can just take a little bit of it, buy some attorney's fees, pay for attorney's fees that are going to help you, and then it's really like the state is paying for it. So I think it's really money well spent. So I want you to just have a chance to think about if this makes any sense for you or what you're really worried about. Just kind of take a step back. I know I've given you a lot of details. Let's look at what applies to you. It's going to depend on your assets and your health. So thank you, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you might have more questions. We totally understand that. So you might feel stressed out like this lady here. Hopefully it's not that bad, and hopefully I didn't make it worse. But if you're feeling stressed out, how do you move to feeling like your ducks are in a row? Okay, step by step. Coming here today was a good step. Here's another next step. Okay, we can have a strategy session with Dawn, who will come on soon. You can sign up right now if you go to our website, safeharborstatelaw.com/schedule, and look for strategy session, okay? That's shorter than the other one, Life and Legacy, because it just usually is. But that's with Dawn Thompson, and here's the picture. She's also, we're going to open this up so that you can talk to her, and you can call and schedule. We recommend that you call sooner rather than later, because I know this is a lot of information. I know I talk fast and I forgot to slow myself down. Sorry. And we find that people get more out of it if they come soon after the meeting. So we set aside some times for the people that attend this. We appreciate you taking the time. I'm honored by it. I hope you found it helpful. We always want to add value in everything we do, including this strategy session. So we encourage you to come. There's Dawn. Now, okay.
Oh, hi. Hi. I had to see what was going on there. Hi to all the nice people there. I'd love to meet you, and please schedule a session with me where we can talk through your particular situation and explore how Safe Harbor can help you.
Great. What's the next slide? I can't. Okay, so thank you, Dawn. So again, here's some things. I guess let's see. I keep getting these little things in the middle of my screen. So again, these are the same things. If you're worried about running out of money in the next 10 years, if you made gifts in the past, if you don't know or you want to make some gifts, if you don't know if your estate plan, like your will, power of attorney, trust, allows for these fancy Medicaid protection strategies I'm talking about, and if you just want to learn more, you didn't get your questions answered, or you don't know what you don't know, then it's worthwhile to do the strategy session. And I think we can open up the mics pretty soon. Thank you for being here. Oh, you get a gift, a free report, how to stay out of the nursing home. I just wrote it last year. So I think that you will like it and find it helpful. We are here for you to answer your questions, point you in the right direction. So do you want to, can you unmute people?
They have the option.
Okay, so you can unmute. If you want to talk to us, talk to Dawn. You can call us. you can email us. You can respond to Gabrielle's email. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Scott, for hosting us.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for joining us. Margaret will be back with us next week. Our last one in this series are on February 4th from 1 to 2 p.m. And she's going to touch on what seniors should know about income taxes, since we're going into that season, guardianship, conservatorship, and working when you are a blended family, particularly as adult children. So hopefully you will come and join us for that and get some of your questions answered, or just get some new information then too. All of these sessions have been helpful for myself as I work with families and even for myself. So thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us.
I forgot to answer your question, Scott. Do you want me to answer it?
That's quick. I just had a quick question just in general about reverse mortgages and how those kind of fit into your plan.
So we have a few people who do those. So that's really for people who just really want to stay in their home and they're running out of money. And you know, a client who is my friend's mother, and she just passed away like 2 weeks ago. She was able to stay in her home until the end. On December 31st, she went on hospice, kind of suddenly had a downturn, stayed with her daughter 2 weeks, passed away. It really worked for her. So, you know, reverse mortgages are sort of expensive, but if for the right people, they are really helpful to help pay for care. And that's a good point. But I mean, not most of our clients, but for the right people, we definitely refer people for that. Thank you, everybody. You can speak up if you would like to. See you next week. Like Scott said,